Betta here. A while ago, I made this very lovely cabinet for my Oppie breeding project. It's an IKEA hack. These are just 2 IKEA cabinets that I painted really pretty, and I turned it into a fish breeding cabinet. I added some heat control by using reptile heating cable attached to a thermostat, and I weaved this cable all throughout the cabinet so I can control it depending on what the temperatures of the tanks are sitting at. I added a variety of small tanks specifically for the purpose of starting a breeding project for the beautiful but very, very tiny Betta Oppie. Betta Oppie is an extremely at-risk species in the wild thanks to habitat loss. They're so cute, they're bright red, they have these little tiny white spots and these blue eyes, and I just think they're amazing. They're a wild species in a complex that's slightly different than the usual splendens complex we usually think of when we think of betta fish. They are in the Coccina complex, or Coccina, depending on who's saying it. So they're incredibly at risk. They're very tiny and they don't take up much space. So I thought, hey, why not try to set up a location for my Betta Oppie to go and just try to spawn as many as I can so I can ship them out, so I can get them into as many other people's aquariums as I possibly can and just make them more popular in the hobby. By doing that, I can be just playing this little tiny part in maybe preserving a species, and hopefully to inspire more people to work with them. At least that was the goal. Having to move houses threw a huge wrench into my plans. All of a sudden, I had to pack everything. I had to minimize my entire fish collection, essentially. My fish room, my tanks, just everything. Every ounce of my energy just had to go into preparing my household and my family for moving. And then converting a section of my garage into the new fish room. It's taken a lot. So I went through a lot. My Oppie had to go through a lot. The whole project got stalled. Constantly had to move my fish and my tanks around, which I'm sure stressed them out. And it was freezing cold, and I lost some of my key females to just, I think, really bad temperature swing. And everything was just totally messed up. Until recently. I am so happy to say that I have my first signs of breeding activity again since my move. Yes, yes. This is so cool to see. I'm finally seeing it. This is the top cabinet of the betta fish breeding armoire that I made here. It's quite lovely. There are 8 small tanks up here on the top, and I have some breeding activity from one of my Oppie pairs, which I'm very happy to say. Down below here, I have a couple single bachelor males in these 2 tanks on the side. In this tank in the middle, I have females that are still just a little too small. I'm growing them out a little bit, and I'm trying to get them nice and plump before I pair them with my bachelor males. So this right now is the extent of me trying to recover the Betta Oppie breeding project. I do have some tanks that only have Betta rubra in them. I have a pair of Betta rubra in here. I have a Betta rubra male who might be holding in here. Why? Because I'm just keeping those tanks cycled and in use while I wait for more Oppie. Let's check out the bottom. So ideally by now, these tanks on the bottom, these are 6 5-gallon tanks, they would have been filled with spawns of Oppie growing out. But, you know, because of life lately, that's not the case. Instead of having these tanks just empty, each one of them has a Betta Channoides male in it. So, boom, 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 boom. 6 Betta Channoides males. Channoides is a really cool species of mouth brooder. The males get bright red, you know, when they're showing off, and they have these pretty little fins, and they're gorgeous. And when they spawn, the males, they put the eggs in their mouth and they incubate them in their mouths. That's why they're called mouth brooders. Then when the eggs have developed enough to be a little fry and ready to swim away, the males release the eggs. I think mouth brooders are really cool. Betta rubra are also mouth brooders. I hope I get some fry out of them. While I wait for my Betta Oppie to hopefully give me fry soon, I might as well also try to get fry from my beautiful Betta Channoides. This quite large, quite heavy container right here. I have 4 Betta Channoides females. They're not new, they're my females that I've had for quite a while, and they've just been hanging out in a very densely planted tank that I have over to my left on my blue rack. Last night it took me like an hour just to fish them all out and put them in this container so when I was ready to film, I'd actually have them. Let's give these females some boyfriends. I just tried getting some pretty shots of the males, but they hated the camera, so I'm just gonna not do that. Lovely female Channoides. I think she will go here. This is one of my males. Okay, you will go here. Another one of my males. You, this is an unrelated male. You will go here. Another F1 pairing. There we have it. Now I have 4 pairs. Now I only have 4 females. I still have 2 bachelor males, but that's okay. With Betta Channoides, the limiting factor when it comes to breeding them is actually the males. The females, like they'll spawn with the male, and then they'll be ready to breed again, like in I don't know, like a couple weeks once they get all eggy again. But the males won't be because they're holding a mouthful of eggs. Plus they won't have eaten in that time, in the like 3 or so weeks that it takes to incubate these eggs. So then he doesn't eat, he releases the eggs, and then you wanna plump him back up again a little bit because he hasn't eaten for so long. Once I see some mouthfuls of eggs, I'll remove the females and I'll put them in with the different males. Cool. I hope this works. I hope I see some good spawning activity. That would be really, really nice. And by that, I just mean that having like life in the fish room again is gonna be really nice. The general theme of my life lately has been like, oh no, everything's changing. Or, oh dear, look at all the things I'm working on. I'm still sort of in that stage, but it's slowing down. I'm trying to get everything organized and to get life back into the fish room. My Betta fish breeding rack is close to being done. I'm just waiting on my plumber because he's gonna help me set up the automatic water change rack and do some plumbing that I need to get that going. But soon I'll have domestic Betta fish again, and I'm looking forward to it. Everything's coming together. My oppie are starting to be happy again, thank goodness. Hopefully I'll have a bunch of Channoides fry, I hope. And things are looking up and slowly getting more and more organized. Speaking of organization, I should show you what else I've done to the Betta oppie / Channoides breeding cabinet. Over here on the side of my cabinet is where I keep things organized. I have a bunch of supplies and all my plugs, and I thought I'd give you a little rundown on this stuff. So this is a little IKEA organizer that I use for small things. It's like it holds my temperature gun and my tongs, and it holds a pump right here, and usually fish food and plant weights and fertilizer and just a ton of stuff that's little and cluttery and I try to hide. Over here on the bottom, I have a Bluetooth power strip. With an app on my phone, I can control these outlets. I can give them timers, essentially. This is how I control the lights in my cabinet. I want them to turn on and off at specific times, and it's just really kind of convenient. Also, I could power USB stuff. This is my thermostat. I've attached it to the side of the cabinet. One of my air pumps actually has a little offshoot going down here to this. This is my brine shrimp hatchery. It's a Zis brine shrimp hatchery. Aquarium Co-op has these. I actually want to mount either onto the side of the cabinet or onto the wall right here. It has this really strong handle. So technically, I could put that handle into a little hook on the wall and be able to have this up. I just haven't done that yet. The Betta oppie and any kind of fry really appreciate brine shrimp. I'd highly recommend a little brine shrimp hatchery setup if you're planning on seriously breeding fish. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and thanks to my patrons on Patreon. You guys really do help out, even if it's just like $1 every month you're throwing at me. You're helping me get supplies. And it's made a big difference in some of my latest videos. I hope you liked seeing my heated fish breeding cabinet, which currently I just really hope it's gonna breed some fish. Everyone, please cross your fingers for me, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.